Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming online, joining us at 10, which is really 9. We are on Rosh Hashana Daf Gimel Dalud Amud Aleph 4a, as I said, near the bottom of the Amud here. You should have the Gemara on the screen with you. We've now concluded the Shiur about Rosh Hashana LeMelachim, that the Nisan, the first of Nisan being the new year, how we calculate the years of kings, how we count the dynastic years. We talked about the Jewish kings in Nisan and non-Jewish kings in Tishri, and we had a long and somewhat complicated sugya about that. We move on to the next piece in the Mishnah, where the Mishnah told us that Nisan, the first of Nisan, or Nisan is another Rosh Hashanah for something else, and that is what the Gemara says here, V'lir Galim. For the foot festivals, the 3 foot festivals in the Jewish calendar, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. So the Gemara says, what does that mean? The regalim be'echa b'nisanhu. So the Gemara actually first begins, before getting into the nafkemina, to the halachic significance of needing a new year, needing a cycle, needing a cutoff point when it comes to the festivals. The festivals come and go. For what purpose do you need a counting, a cutoff point? And just a practical question. Regalim be'echa b'nisanhu, the Gemara says, which festival is on the 1st of Nisan? We just had very apropos, very contemporary. We just had Rosh Chodesh Nisan on Thursday. There was no festival. What are we talking about? The first festival, the foot festival in the month of Nisan, is on the 15th. So surely, if we're going to have a new year for festivals, it makes sense to have the new year on when the festival is, rather than, a random date when it's not. So So the Gemara here says, Rav Chisda answers, it's the regel sheboy Rosh Hashanah the regalim. Literally meaning it's the festival, in it is the new year of the festivals. So if you just look at Rashi here, Rashi says, regel sheboy Rosh Hashanah the regalim, regel sheboy chodesh hanichnas be'echa b'nisan, meaning the festival that is in the month that begins with the 1st of Nisan, who Rosh Hashana the regalim, that is the new year for foot festivals. Meaning, when we talk about the cycle, when we really talk about the new year, the cutoff date, this is all these things, they're cutoff dates, they're significant moments. The cutoff date for the festivals, we're actually talking about the 15th of Nisan. We're talking about Pesach, first day Pesach, that's where we start to count from, that's according to Rashi. The Ritva actually says no. The Ritva has learned it a little bit differently, but the Ritva, he reads it like this: Regel Sheboy Rosh Hashanah l'regalim, meaning Regel Sheboy, meaning the festival in it is what creates the 1st of Nisan. Already from the 1st of Nisan being the Rosh Hashanah the regalim, the new year for the festivals, i.e., it begins on the 1st of Nisan. The Gemara says still nafkemina l'neider. So again, I asked, why is it significant? Why does halacha need to have a cutoff date, a new year for festivals? So this is the sugya of Baal Ta'acha. Nafkemina, the halachic differences, the one who makes a vow. And we'll see the different categories, the different things a person may have vowed about, may have promised. There is an interesting Hava Amina here, there is an interesting shitter, I think. It's a Rishon that says we are talking about any vows, meaning if I promise my friends, not just I said to him, I promised, I made a vow, I'll pay you $100, and then £100, and then the same thing will happen. The same thing will apply, meaning how long do I have to pay it back? Until what point am I over b'ba'al ta'ach, as we'll see. But I think most Rishonim understand it. This is within a hektish. This is within a religious context, i.e., those who make promises for mitzvahs, or those who are obligated to give certain mitzvahs or bring certain things to the Beis HaMikdash, as we'll see in the list. The Meikim Olei B'Baal Ta'acha, that if you fail to bring them after 3 festivals, so the cutoff date, the cycle, the time period you have is the festivals. Where do they begin? Well, that's where we need their beginning. We need a cutoff date. You are over on Baal Ta'acha. So does the Gemara here bring the Pesukim? No, it's a Pasuk, I believe, in Pashas Re'eh, that basically, Meisis Vasecha Tishmar, the Pasuk tells us the things that you promise you have to keep. And then if you fail to bring these sacrifices, you fail to bring these offerings to the temple, Ba'al Ta'acha, the Gemara is phrasing it, that if you fail to bring them by a certain point, there's now a law, if you've transgressed a transgression of not keeping your promises, of not fulfilling your obligations, of not bringing your tithes or your offerings to the temple. So okay, very nice. So we have this concept of Baal Ta'achar, a cut-off time. After a certain amount of time, if you fail to bring the festival, you fail to bring the carbonate, you're over on Baal Ta'achar, but you still need Rabbi Shimon here. It's only within the opinion of Rabbi Shimon that it's significant that Nisan, or that Pesach is the cut-off, that Pesach is the Rosh Hashana. The Tanya, Echat HaNoder, Echat HaMakdish, Echat HaMa'arich. So Rabbi Shimon, with Stam Rabbi Shimon, is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rashbi from Nag Ba'omer. Whether one, Echad HaNoder, whether one makes a formal vow, what does it mean, Echad HaNoder? Rashi says, Ha'omed Dmei Olai. Someone says, I'm donating my worth, me, to the Beis HaMikdash. What does that mean? Sheshaminosu Ke'evet. Again, in the period they had a slave market. Again, we talked about last Sunday in the Pesach shit. Yeah, don't have to go back so far, just go to Louisiana or the South in America in the 1820s and you had slave markets. But basically, different people would catch different prices on the slave market based on, I guess, your physical abilities and so on and so forth. So someone who says, Demei says, I'm donating myself, my value. So again, we would value him on the slave market and he'd have to donate that amount. Vechad HaMakdish, someone who simply donate something, is sanctify something, makdish, make something hekdish, holy for the temple use. Ve'echat hamarich, says Rashi, shama erki olai. Doesn't say me, meaning what I will catch on the slave market, but be'erchi, my value as stipulated in the stratified by the Pesukim in Parshas Matos. Parshas Matos, again, the Torah there has sort of standardized values of different categories of people and ages for that, how much they would sell for. So our marriage is not so specific. My value could be different than everybody else's value on the slave market. Marriage is that set amount, those categories and stratification that is set out in Parshas Matos. So the Gemara says, so all these three cases, someone offers to donate to the Beis HaMikdash, promises to donate. Once 3 festivals have passed, either B'Baal Ta'achar. At that point, he is now transgressing. He is now over the Isser, the prohibition of Baal Ta'achar, of delaying his karbonos too far. And Rabbi Shimon, okay, but at that point, you still don't need a Rosh Hashana. Meaning, I donated, I promised, I sanctified something. I was makdish something to hektish to the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know, in the middle of the summer, in the middle of Tammuz. So 3 festivals, 3 next festivals, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos. Meaning, at any point in the year, I don't need a cutoff date. I don't need to standardize, this is the new year for Regalim. They'll simply say, just count 3 festivals forward from the moment you donated, the moment you promised. And after the 3 festivals have elapsed, then you'll be over. That's what the Gemara says. You specifically need, this is within the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says, Rabbi Shimon, Gimel, Regalim, Kisidron. No, it's not. It's actually more lenient. It's not that after 3 festivals from now, could be Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, in that order, then you're over, you've transgressed. Rather, you need them in order. And then you need Pesach to be the first one. Meaning, someone, and the Gemara is going to say here, that's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that's why it's the same opinion. He explains this. He sort of unpacks this. What does he say? Regalim pa'amim gimel, pa'amim dalet, pa'amim chamisha. Meaning, when we say 3 festivals, after a certain amount of festivals, you've been over Baal Ta'achar. Well, sometimes there'll be 3, sometimes there'll be 5, and sometimes there'll be 4. How is that? Well, sometimes the case, so let's say I promised, or I sacrificed something to the Beis HaMikdash before Pesach, and then I didn't bring it, so I've got Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot in that order, they go over on Baal Ta'achar. Sometimes it will be Lifnei Atzeres. Let's say I actually promised it after Pesach. So then I have Shavuos, Sukkot, but I'm not over after Sukkot because you need 3 in order. So then it will be Pesach, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. So we end up being actually 5 festivals till I'm over in Baal Ta'achar, because according to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Kisidron, you need Rosh Hashana l'Regalim, means that you need them in this order, starting with Pesach, Pa'amim Arba, Lifnei Achag Arba. if I donated something, if I promised something before Sukkot, it'll only be 4, because it'll be Sukkot, then it'll be the other 3 in order, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. One of the Acharonim asked, what about if I donate something in the middle of Pesach? Could argue there's 6, half of the Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, and then 3. So they argue either that's not called a new Yontif. Pesach isn't this, unlike Shmini Atzeres, which is called Regel B'fnei Atzmo. The second days of Pesach are definitely not a new Yontif. And proof is actually the lesser well-known reason why we only say half Hallel. We think we only say half Hallel the rest of Pesach after the first day's Pesach, because Maseh Yodai Tovu Bayom, there's a certain sensitivity that we, especially the 7th day of Pesach, the Yontif at the end of Pesach celebrates the splitting of the sea and the drowning of the Egyptians. So we don't say a full Hallel, we don't express fully our thanks and our joy because human beings lost their life. That's the more well-known reason. But the Gemara's reason is because there's no new impetus to say a full Hallel, meaning on the first days of Yontif, there's a new Yontif with a new carbon, so there's a new full Hallel. After that, which was the same carbonas repeated again and again, and therefore the latter part of Pesach is clearly not a new Yontif. It's just the continuation. It's just the afterglow, perhaps, of the. Yeah, Line, you have a question? You raised the hand. Please do.
Yeah, just a practical question on Baal Ta'acha. Is there any pragmatic difference? Is the person who made the Nedova or the Hektish, can he no longer bring it after Baal Ta'acha? Or is he still chayav to bring that carbon, even after 4 or 5 of the Yom Tovim have passed? Because there'll be no Malchus, because it's a Lav Shalom Bein B'Maaseh.
We really started to get into what some of the Rishonim ask here. We'll see it more specifically because Tosfos raises some of these questions in terms of, can you bring it after Baal, after the 3 festivals passed? Yes, I think you do still bring it. You still chayav to bring it, but that you've already been over in a Lav. You're right. You've asked the question. Wait a minute. There's no. So here, so in the back of Mesifta, the Pinei Yeshua asked you a question. There's no, it's a Lav She'ein Bo Ma'aser. So what exactly does it mean, Ba'al Ta'acha? Already, because some of the Acharonim deal, I can tell you who it is. This is a discussion of the Keres Yaakov, the Garnat, and the Degar Reuven. Wait a minute. Is it that after one Yontif, because you'll see there's an opinion after one Yontif, is it as soon as I've delayed it more than I need to? So I can understand you've got till the Yontif, because there's a chiyuv of Aliyah L'Regel. You're supposed to go up to Yerushalayim. Okay. So we're not telling you the day you donate something to the Beis Hamikdash, the day you chayav in a carbon, you need to bring a certain carbon or whatever it may be. You have to go today to the Beis Hamikdash. We understand you've got work, you've got things to do, but you're going to go on the Yontif. So it seems to be. The question is it after one Yontif you already should have brought it? You've already been over on something. You've already missed your ideal charge. Just the Torah gives you 3 Yom Tovim. It gives you a long leeway. Maybe Rosh Hashanah gives you a really long leeway up to nearly 2 years, a year and a half, and then you chayiv in the Baal Ta'acha, you chayiv in the Lo Yisaseh Baal Ta'acha. Or no, it's not that you have one Yom Tov. Really, you're chayiv in nothing. You've really got 3 Yom Tovim. You've really got 3 foot festivals until you're expected to bring it. So you already have that diyun in the Acharonim about is it you're should have brought it after one Yom Tov and B'diavad anyway, and it's only the 3 Yom Tovim only for the Issur, or is it no? You've got all that time. Then on top of that, what about the issue? It's a Lav She'ein Bo Ma'aser. So according to everyone, basically, you definitely have the positive commandment to bring it as soon as you should, because you have the So what does it already mean? So you said Av. So over on the Lav. What nafkamina is it in a Lav? Okay, so Shemesh Eva Ba'aseh in the Ela B'Shas HaRegel, Aval Ach HaRegel in Eina Solin Aslam B'Regel. Eno Eva Ba'aseh, Eva B'Lav. Okay, that's one answer. One answer is there is a way to do it b'maisa. There is such a concept of Baal Ta'acha b'maisa. Usually it's a Lav She'ein Bo Ma'aser, just not doing something, not bringing it. So what could be a case of there is a Ma'aser? So for instance, someone purposely made themselves Tomei, and therefore couldn't do Aliyah L'Regel. So they purposely, that when it came to that 3rd Yontif, they purposely exempted themselves from Aliyah L'Regel. Thereby, they wouldn't be able to bring their carbon, and now suddenly their carbon is past the third festival. That's possibly a Av Sheyesh Bo Ma'aser. And the third question will be about Mevazvez Yosem Shlish. So we say when it comes to mitzvahs asay, a person has to spend a lot of money, up to the third of his money, in order to fulfill the mitzvah. When it's a negative commandment, one has to spend all their money in order to prevent themselves from. So possibly, if it was just an essay, if it was a mitzvah to bring your carbon as quickly as can, it wasn't a baltacha, like why do we need a love here? Maybe then, okay, I only have to spend a third of my expenses, a third of my money to pay for it. Maybe now it's a love. The requirements, the demands are much greater on you. Okay. Since the Gemara at the bottom, we'll go back to the list and we'll come back to see what the Taisa says. A few important Taisas in here. Tanu Rabbanon, Chayve Hadomin. So what's Hadomin? Rashi writes, Amad Dumei Alai. Again, my value. What I'm worth. I'm donating it to the Beis Hamikdash. Va'erchin, we just said before, the value that's set out in the Torah for each category. Hacharomin, Chami Gava. Basically, you're donating something to the Beis Hamikdash. Just use a specific type of language. I'm making this chorum. I'm making this forbidden because it's now for the use of the Beis Hamikdash. Vehekdoshois, a more positive way of sanctifying something to the Beis Hamikdash. That's hektish. Chatos, a sin offering. So let's say someone's transgressed something, an aveira, which is chayv kores or chayv misa, and he did it by mistake, with shoygeg. So you have to bring a chatot that we just learned in this week's Parashat Vayikra. V'ashamos, again, this category of osham, 5 different types of osham. Again, usually for aveiras that one's not aware about, or there's a doubt whether you've actually transgressed the aveira to begin with. Olos, burnt offerings. Shlak v'shlomim, with the olah we talked about this week's Parashat v'shlomim. A peace offering, stokos, charity. We'll see what places here deals with. Someone says, I'm going to give charity. When do you have to give it to? Umasros, tithings, you've tithed your produce. Bechor, the firstborn of the animals. The firstborn of an animal, certain animals, has to be given to the Kohen, and the Kohen brings it as a korban. Umaasa, so different. The other types of maisa behema. So the 10th of every animal you have to give over every year as a masa, as a tithing to the Kohen. Pesach, we'll see, Pesach, Korban Pesach. So we'll address this one. Doesn't mean Korban Pesach. I mean, Korban Pesach's brought one day a year, on the 14th of Nisan. What do you mean Baltach? Why do we have 3 festivals? So we're talking about a case of Shalmei Pesach, that they would bring the various peace offerings. They would bring various other offerings along with the Pesach. That's pashtus. Possibly, if you look in the Sugis of Psachim, it could be one was honest and they missed the Korban Pesach. There could be other korbanos you bring in its stead, or the Korban Pesach becomes possible and you transfer onto something else, and then you find another one. Let's say you have the Korban Pesach and it becomes lost. So you sanctify another korban to be the Korban Pesach, and then you find the other Korban Pesach. So one of them cannot be brought anymore. So therefore, one of them becomes like a Shalmei Pesach. It becomes sanctified as a Pesach, but it's not actually be brought as a Korban Pesach. So it becomes like a Shlomim. So it began this idea you have only 3 festivals. You have to bring it within 3 festivals. Leket Shikho Peah. Interestingly, this is not korbanos anymore. These are the requirements that one has to give from their field. Leket, if you forget a few they can't see. If you forget a few things in your field, shikha, again, if you forget a bundle, or forget to harvest a little bit, or peah, you're supposed to leave the corner of your field for the poor person. Again, these are all matnas aniyim. These are all, in the category of tzedakah. These various things one has to give over to poor people. Once you've passed 3 festivals, and again we'll discuss how many is it in order, or how many is it really 3. Again, you have you're open Baal Tacher. This is the list of the various things why Baal Tacher is applies to, and why therefore we need a Rosh Hashana, the Regalim, why it makes a difference how we count the Regalim. Let's see Tosfos here. Vacharomin. Can you see Tosfos on the side? I've got the cursor on the Vacharomin. Yeah. Want to say hello, Leila? Leila just wants to say hello, and then Leila's going to go. Everyone can say hello to Leila.
Hi, Leila.
Okay. Ben is there. Okay, they're not going to go play and have a breakfast. Okay, fine. Charamin. Bein charme gavara, bein charme karnim. So this title says this is referencing and referring to whether it's something you've donated to Beis Hamikdash per se, or you've donated it to the Kohanim for the Kohanim's use. Abenu tam pasad tzedakah. The tzedakah shapoiskim nitim biyad gaboy. So we talked about tzedakah, right? We said one of the things, if you have stockers, we said at the bottom line it's stockers. What does that mean? So Abenu tam says shapoiskim nitim biyad gaboy yechna bebaltachem lemoisele gaboy. So that's what we're talking about. You've said, I'm going to give £100 to the charity. We're not talking about into the poor person's hand now. We're calling the Gabbai stock, either the trustees of a charity or the people responsible for divvying out and giving out the charity. I guess today, a charity, most charities, they're just holding companies. They are the ones who distribute it. They are the ones who go ahead and deal with the people who need it. So that's when it's Baal Ta'acha. I promised to give, I've pledged to give, but I didn't give. But however, can a charity basically hold on to money? So this was, I don't know, a few years ago, I remember there's a big charity called Kupat Ta'ir in Israel. From Bnei Barak, it's endorsed by many of the Gedolim. And they were investing millions and millions of shekel in investment funds. There's a bit of a thing. Is a charity allowed to do that? Is a charity, I donate to a charity, so charity is supposed to be like donating straight away or not? They take advice. They know what's the best way of investing charity money. So you see, another question would be Baal Ta'acha. Wait a minute, you can't just hold on indefinitely to charity money. You have to be giving it out. It's like, we're talking about masa. We're talking about giving a tenth of one's money every year. Ideally, we see from these sugyas that ideally should be every year you give it. Okay, it probably are. It's a minhag. Therefore, possibly, if there's good reason, someone can hold on to it and then give it out another time. But fundamentally, if you've promised X amount to a charity, you've got, if Baal Ta'acha applies, meaning you have to give it within this time frame. But the charities themselves don't have the obligation to divvy it up, to give it out. This might be different. Let's say you have a charity account for yourself. You siphon off money and you put it into a separate account, or you've got in your mind, I want to give a certain amount, but you haven't promised it per se, you haven't allocated it, you haven't pledged it, then it's not Baal Ta'acha. Baal Ta'acha is only once it's clear, it's earmarked for a certain purpose, then Baal Ta'acha applies. He's saying, simply money that's been thought of or put aside, I'm going to give to charity. It's not like you necessarily have Baal Ta'acha, the three festivals. So the Maisa thing is a different thing. That's because based on the Masa, we talked about Rosh Hashana and the Maisras, that each year you have to give from the tithing has to be from that year's amount. You can't, not from next year's, I give from this year's. Tzedakah and Maisras Tosus continues. So the Gemara actually says later on, when it comes to charity, when it comes to stock and I will see other things, who says it's 3 foot festivals? The Gemara seems to say, as soon as I pledge it, I have to give it. And it makes sense. We talked about going to the Beis Hamikdash. So you're going to the Beis Hamikdash, it's a bit dependent on festivals. But why is tzedakah charity got anything to do with going to the Beis Hamikdash, anything to do with festivals? You go around the corner, go down the street. The poor person's there. I don't need to go up to Yerushalayim and up to the Beis Hamikdash in order to give it. So Gemara, Tosfos says, when we said tzedakah is you're obliged to give it straight away, that's when there's poor people to give it to. You don't have to go chase after them. If no one in your town, there's no one local who needs it, you don't have to go chase after them. That's all the while there hasn't been 3 festivals. And then we'll see, once there's been festivals, that's now mechayiv, because when you're going up to Yerushalayim, then there's definitely going to be poor people. Where everyone congregates, the whole nation is coming together. You go to the capital city, you're going to find someone who needs it. You're going to find poor people. But even if you're in your own farm village, somewhere in the north of Israel, there's no poor people, okay. But come the festivals, by then, you will have had the opportunity to find the poor person and give it to them. After Tosfos, that's obvious. So again, what's the Gemara teaching us here? Therefore, since when it came to Karbonos, we have 3 festivals, I might have thought that the tzedakah, that charity is akin, is comparable to korbanos, even if there's aniyim. I might have thought, even if there's poor people, I might think charity is like a korban, and therefore I still have 3 festivals. So Gemara comes to tell me later on that no, if there are poor people around the corner from you, you don't have 3 festivals. You better be giving the money straight away. So maybe when we say you over straight away, we said in Gemara Vav, we'll say Gemara Vav Amud Aleph, when it comes to tzedakah and there's poor people there, Tosfos qualifies, you are chayav to give straight away. Tosfos says, you know what, there's still a difference. When we said that, that's over la'al tahainu asay, meaning you haven't fulfilled the mitzvahs asay of giving the charity. Like other opinions will say, this we already raised this in the Achronim, that maybe even after 1 festival, even according to the opinion who says you have 3 festivals for Baal Tacha, you aren't over on this lav until 3 festivals. After 1 festival, you've already been over in the asay. You've squandered the ideal opportunity, the mitzvah. You didn't go ahead and do the mitzvah, the positive act of giving them. And therefore, what? So with aniyim, you might say la'alta immediately, even if there's aniyim there. I'm over on the asay. I haven't fulfilled the positive commandment, but I'm still not over on the Baal Tacha straight away. I've still got the 3 festivals. No, when it comes to aniyim, when it comes to tzedakah, if there are aniyim available, it's immediate. Immediately you have the asay, and immediately you have the Baal Tacha. You're over on Baal Tacha straight away if you didn't bring it. Okay. Tzedakos. The Rashba says, similar like this answer in Tosfos, that he's the one who suggests this answer in the asay. What's the asay of mitzvahs v'secha tishma? You should guard the word of your mouth. You promised to do something. Now you've got a positive enactment, positive obligation to go ahead and do it. But the Baal Tacha with tzedakah maybe only comes after 3 festivals. And the Ran answers that is nothing to do with the festivals. He answers, indeed, when it comes to tzedakah, you're over straight away on Baal Tacha. Like he answers the leket shichar peah we'll talk about later on. They're nothing to do with the Beis Hamikdash. The Gemara lumps them all together here, but really there are different categories. Some indeed are 3 festivals, some are going to be immediate.
Ask a question.
Yeah.
So what does in the Tosfos say kid ashkachon ba'achrini mean?
Where?
In the towards the end of that Tosfos there, kid ashkachon ba'achrini.
Other opinions. We'll see in Daf Daled Amud Beis. There are different opinions when you're over in Baal Tacha. There's 3, and in order is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It's the most lenient opinion. We passed like it was the most lenient. There are some opinions that Baal Tacha kicks in after 1 festival.
I say kid ashkachon ba'achrini.
I mean, how do I mean? Ein lefaat ha'adu gam over la'alta hainu asay kid ashkachon ba'achrini. The beregel echot over ba'asay. So look at that kaf. The kaf on the top of the page here will tell us lekamon Amud Beis. Yeah, he's referring to the opinions on the second half, second on Amud Beis on the other side of the Amud. Yeah. Everyone's with me?
Yeah.
And that's why to ask another interesting question. And this list is not so simple because Maisros could go Maiser Rishon, Maiser Sheni, Maiser Ani. What about tithes? So you have to give the 3 different types of tithes: Maiser Rishon, Maiser Sheni, Maiser Ani. Maiser Rishon is the 10% you give to the Leviim every year. Maiser Sheni is the 10% you bring to Yerushalayim to eat in Yerushalayim on certain years, on the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th year of the Shemitah cycle. And Maiser Ani is on the 3rd and 6th year of the Shemitah cycle. Instead of going up to Jerusalem and having to eat that percentage of your crop in Kedusha, in Yerushalayim, you have to give it to a poor person. Gemara says, Tosfos says a very good question. We've got a whole sugya. It's actually, we leave Lena on Yontif and end of Parshas Re'eh. Hold on, later what? What one thing? Okay. Bye, Leila. Sorry. Giving shit from home. Maisa, so we have the pasuk tells us in Parshas Re'eh, Zman Bi'ur. Meaning we know with these things already, when it comes to Ma'aseh, there is a time, there's sort of anyway a cutoff. Meaning if you fail to give them, if you fail to bring them, you have to give them by a certain point in the cycle. What is that? It's the year of Ma'aseh Ani. It's after the third year and after the sixth year. Meaning it's the Pesach in the fourth year of the cycle and before Pesach in the Shemitah year. And what's the Zaman Bi'ur? Meaning either give it by then, or if you haven't given it by then, you have to get rid of it. It goes bad. Take it out. Either give it or destroy it. But Tanam Perek Hey, the Ma'aser Sheni Erev Yom Tov Rishon Shal Pesach. Shal Revius or Shal Shvius, as I said. Ma'aser Sheni, so the stuff you can't take to Yerushalayim, miss your opportunity. You're supposed to eat in Yerushalayim. So the other stuff, find a Levi to give it to. Find an Oni, find a poor person to give it to. What about if you didn't take it to Yerushalayim and they've lost the opportunity? So then on Erev Pesach Harishon, i.e. Erev Pesach in the fourth year and in the seventh year, that's Zaman Bi'ur, you have to get rid of it. Hosm Afapi Shalei Hifrish Chayv Lahafrish Uvavashabo La'onis Ma'aser Kedisnan Hosm. Chosm Shalei Hifrish Loi Koi Bebal Ta'acha. Okay, so I already gave the answer. So what's Tosfos' question? Very simple. What are you telling me about Baal Ta'acha by Ma'aser? It's not after 3 festivals that Ma'aser goes bad. I've been over in Baal Ta'acha. The Pasuk tells us already, we've got already another cutoff for the Ma'aser, meaning basically every 3 years in the Shemitah cycle. We've got much, much longer. It's only after that point do we say you have to get rid of it, you have to make sure you've given it away. So what's the Gemara here telling me about Ba'al Ta'acha? So the Gemara, so Tosfos answers no. The Hasam Afal Pishalei Hifrish, Chayv Lahafrish. Now there we're talking about a case, let's say I never even bothered to separate the Ma'aser. I never actually took 10% out. It's not like I had it there on the side. I actually never separated the Ma'aser out. So now we're saying you never separated the Ma'aser from your first year, the second year of the cycle. Now it comes to after the third year, in the fourth year, in the Pesach of the fourth year, you better go ahead and separate out your Ma'aser, the tithing you never took, and deal with it and get rid of it or give it away. However, but all the while, I never separated out the mice. I never took it. It doesn't exist. Let's say I took the 10%. I separated it out. I said, oh no, I'm going to go to Yerushalayim next month. I'm going to go next Yom Tov and eat in Yerushalayim. And I never did. And it just sat there and sat there and sat there. On that produce, you'll be over on Baal Ta'acha already after 3 festivals or whatever opinion it is that you follow. Even if we're years away, what we call Zaman Abiyah, the time you're obliged to actually formally get rid of it and formally distribute it. We have 2 psukim. One that he promised, but he actually never separated it. And one that he separated it, but he never brought it. So when it comes to Ma'aser, there's only one pasuk. Meaning, Baal Ta'acha, there could be 2 levels of Baal Ta'acha. Either Baal Ta'acha that what? I promised to bring something. I said, I'm going to bring an animal to the Beis HaMikdash as a carbon. And I never specify which animal. That could be a Baal Ta'acha on the promise itself. And then you have another Baal. I don't want to step further. I promised I'll bring an animal. I actually designated an animal, but I never brought it. That's also Baal Ta'acha. But when it comes to Ma'aser, interesting, there's only one pasuk. Meaning what pasuk? If I didn't separate it, I never identified that there's no Baal Ta'acha. This is different. Ma'aser is more lenient. There's no Baal Ta'acha unless I actually designate it, I actually separated it out. If I fail to separate it, we have another catch. Meaning Ma'aser is different in the other things, that we have this thing, Zaman Habiyah, Shas Habiyah, every 3rd and 6th, 7th, after the 3rd and 6th year, you have to bring it. So Tosfos now gives a second approach. How could it be that we're squaring up if there's biur? Why do I need Baal Ta'acha? So he said perhaps maybe I made it into a pile between the end of the 3rd Yom Tov and the Shas Habiyah. Meaning you're not chayav unless your produce is made into a kri. Meaning the chayav, the obligation to separate out Maisa, Truma and Maisa and so on and so forth, it's only once we say you've actually, it's not the moment you harvest something. You have to actually collect it in and bring it into the storehouse and arrange it at that moment. Now all your produce is arranged. Now you've you've got your whole year's salary, then you have to then the chiyuv of Maisa kicks in. So Tosfos is suggesting that, why you could have this difference is it's the Kishanimach Bakari, you only became chayv in Maisa bein regel labir, meaning between the end of the Yom Tov and the Shas Habiyah, meaning you only let's say the Sukkot in the third year, you only actually made the produce, piled it up after Sukkot, so there hasn't been 3 Yom Tovim. There's no Baal Ta'acher from the Yom Tov perspective, but there would be Baal Ta'acher, or there'll be Shas Habiyah, because now when the Pesach in the fourth year kicks in. Let's just see the end of Tosfos. Okay. So Tosfos brings about Bikurim. Okay, what about Bikurim? Bikurim. Nerbinami Truma. What about Truma? Why is Truma not brought in? Bikurim. What about Bikurim? The Mishnah here never mentions Bikurim, the first fruits. B'Shema B'Chila Maisa Isnu, either they're included in Maisa. That you're right again. They would be over in Baal Tach if you wait 3 Yom Tovim. Other alternatives say no. Baal Ta'acha, are you waiting more than 3 Yom Tovim, is not relevant when it comes to Bikurim, because Bikurim is Ela Me'aseres V'Yadachad B'Kriya Me'Chag Ad Chanukah B'Lo Kriya. There's anyway a very specific time to bring the Bikurim. When do we bring the Bikurim between Shavuos, and the Shavuos is when the Chiyuv of Bikurim kicks in until Sukkot. Between Shavuos and Sukkot, you bring the Bikurim and you read the Pasha of Bikurim, what we'll read on Seder night, Aram Yoved Avi. But the Torah already tells us you have till Chanukah, or Mishnah tells you have till Chanukah to bring without Kriyas HaPasha. But after that, you can't bring them anyway. So there's no concept of Baal Tach. You don't anyway have such a large amount of time to bring it. We'll finish in a few minutes, but on the Chatois v'Ashomrei, it's interesting, the Gideoni Ashas. So I think that's Yosef Engel asked the question. We have a Gemara that tells us that Chayve Chatois v'Ashomrei Eini Makipurim Mechaper. Meaning, if you had the obligation to bring a Chatos or a Osham, Yom Kippur doesn't wipe it out. Meaning, not that Yom Kippur comes along, Yom Kippur's Kapara Lakol, you get it home and you wipe it out. And Rabbi Yosef Engel asks the question, wait a minute, I don't need such a Gemara. Because if Yom Kippur was to wipe it out, how could you have Baal Tacha by Chatois v'Ashomos? If Yom Kippur indeed wipes out your chiyuv of Chatos and Osham, there'd never be a Baal Tacha. You never get through 3 festivals. So definitely not according to Rabbi Shimon Yochai. You never get through Pesach, Sukkot, and Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. By the time Sukkot, the 3rd festival, comes along, and then after which you chayv in Baal Tacha, Yom Kippur's already wiped out your sins. You've already wiped out your chatois and ashomos. So that's his question. Meaning, it doesn't wipe it out. So Yom Kippur doesn't work. So indeed, you need Baal Tacha because it stays over. It remains in place. It remains in potency after Yom Kippur and through the Sukkot. He gives a bit of a document answer, constructs a case where maybe you could have thought there would be an instance where Yom Kippur could, and therefore there wouldn't be Baal Tacha. Not so important, but I think it's an interesting thought. So there is Baal Tacha by these things, even obviously by definition, 3 festivals continues after Yom Kippur. Let's just see. You know what? Okay, let's see the Silah Tosfos, and we'll pick up next time after this. Leket Shechor Peos. We said some of the other things you'll be chayv in Baal Tacha is Leket Shechor Peos. These leaving you if you failed to. So these things were left in the field. The Leket, a few stalks, a Shechor, you forgot a sheaf or 2, or Peah, you didn't leave the corner of your field. And therefore, again, what is exactly the case? So let's see what Tosfos says. Chayv Lohaniach B'Sodeh. So you have to leave it in your field, and if you take it from your field, you harvest the whole field, or you take the things you left behind over below sasi, very over in another loy sasi. So there's actually, the Torah has separate, distinct prohibitions and averus if one does take these things and not leave them for the poor person. So what's the case? So you've been over already. You've already done an Avera by taking them when you shouldn't have taken them. But now that you've taken them, you've over an Avera, does not mean you're finished. Now you have the obligation to give them back. To go ahead and lahachse v'litin. Diyaviv loy mahani k'diisa berakamo de tzmura ve'im loy hifrish peo min hakoma mafrish min ha'amorim. Let's say you didn't leave it. I mean, you're supposed to leave a corner of the field standing, unharvested. But if you didn't do that, mafrish min ha'amorim, you simply take away the equivalent amount from the harvest, from the amorim, from the sheaves, and you leave them. I mean, akeri, you even have to take away after. You've already, as I said, processed it. You've already brought it into the storehouse. You'd have to go ahead and take away from there the right amount and leave it for the poor person to come and take it. And therefore there is Baal Ta'ach, meaning, I don't understand, that's totally the question. If these are mitzvahs about leaving something. So once I didn't leave it, what's Baal Ta'ach? No, the point is you have to go ahead and take them, reclaim them back for the poor person after you've already harvested it, after you've already collected it. There's another explanation what's going on here. You took them when you were allowed to. You took them beheta. There were no poor people in your town. Therefore, it's silly and it makes no sense. And no chiyuv to leave a corner of the field for the poor person. No one's going to come and take it. It's just a waste. It's just it's about tashchis. Then what? So I harvest it. There's no poor people in my town, but as I said, you have to take that amount, take it up to Yerushalayim, and distribute it amongst the poor people of the nation there in Jerusalem. So Levi, he planted in a certain place, and there were no poor people. So he took him, he harvested them, and he came before Rosh Hashanah. So he says, the pasuk says, I need to leave it for the poor person, right? Not for the ravens, not for other animals. For me, if I were to leave it in my field and not harvest it for the poor person, there's no poor people. Animals would just come along and take it. So that's why I harvested it. I went ahead and harvested it. But what should I do now with it? So Levi didn't tell, Rav Sheshes didn't tell Levi to keep it for himself. Rather, he just said, if you go ahead and harvest it, you're not over, you haven't been transgressed anything, but you still have to give it out, you still have to distribute it amongst the poor people. So sometimes we say by Truma, you actually have to go ahead and find the kohen. There's no kohen in your town, go ahead and hire a driver, hire a wagon, hire an animal to go and find the kohen. Would that be the case here with these things? The Gemara says no. When it comes to Truma, the Torah tells you have to give it. There's a chiyuv to actually go ahead and give it. With it, with leket shich and peh, it doesn't have to give it, you have to leave it. Well, there's no one to leave it to, I don't have to go ahead and find someone to give it to, therefore I can take it for myself. So wait a minute. If there are poor people and they go ahead and take it, why 3 festivals? Similar to tzedakah. This is nothing about the Beis Hamikdash. This is nothing about a sacrifice and offering to the temple. This is about distributing to poor people. So why is there Baal Ta'ach of 3 festivals? Surely like tzedakah, it should be immediately. But as soon as I don't give it, as soon as I should have left the field and I should have given it to the poor person, I failed to do so, that should be Baal Ta'ach immediately. The Davke Heicha de Lekanim ain't over Baal Ta'ach, but the Beregalim. Aber Heicha de Kai Me'anim Ka Ava La'alta K'vei Tzedakah. So maybe no. What's the answer? I went ahead and I did the work of the poor person for them. The Peh is an interesting one. I have to leave a corner of my field, but I still expecting the poor person to come with his sickle, to come with his combine harvester, and actually go ahead and harvest it for himself. So what about a case where the owner of the field is very generous? He said, I'm going to leave it to the poor person. I don't want the poor people to have to harvest it themselves. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to harvest it for the poor person. Let's say I harvest and I'm doing it for my friend, the poor person. So one opinion is Rabbi Elazar says I can designate which poor person to give the payout to, the leket, the sheikh, or the payout to. And the Chachamim say no, you have to give it to the first poor person you find. Okay, so that's something else. So what do we see? We see an example where I go ahead and harvest it. I don't leave it for the poor person. So the question is, why do you need 3 festivals of Baal Ta'acha? You've been over straight away. It's nothing to do with the Beis Hamikdash. The answer is, no, I went ahead and harvested it for the poor person. And therefore, again, so that's why Baal Ta'acha, I have 3 festivals before I give it out. Okay, so that's the beginnings of the sugya of Baal Ta'acha. On Daled Amud Beis, we'll see, I think it's 4 opinions exactly when is Baal Ta'acha, what is the cutoff. We've seen one, we've gone to the Mishnah goes like the opinion of Shomrei Bar Yochai, but there are other opinions. And then we'll move on. Again, the Gemara moves on to more Yontif Tika Sugyas, a broader Yontif Sugyas after the Baal Ta'acha Sugya. All right, thank you everyone for joining. We will. Is Thursday mornings good for people?
No, Thursday.
No. That's the other. I've scheduled it to have it on Sundays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. So Sunday, I guess, is soon after our Shabbos afternoon slot, and people are possibly more around on Sundays. I scheduled it again and just another time in the week just because I'm planning to do it for 40-45 minutes, and I don't know. I thought if you have more time or opportunity to learn, we can do
morning during the week. Morning during the week's not great for me because we work with my company. So
right.
during the
Okay,
week.
so maybe we will find.
The evenings would be great. An evening would be great.
Okay, so maybe we will find another time. Maybe we'll do Thursday evenings. Okay,
That's great.
We'll change the schedule. I planned it for last Thursday. Actually, no one was able to come. So yeah, maybe we'll do it on Thursday morning. We'll do it another evening. Maybe Thursday evening. Okay,
it would be very helpful if you send out a notice.
We'll send out an update. So we'll send out.
Just before the share with the link, because if you give the direct link each time, it makes it much easier to check in. Otherwise, you'd have to hunt around through all the previous.
Sure. Okay. So we will send out on the just on the
group.
Yeah.
So you're doing twice a week now?